Hi, my name's Clark, and I composed music and did the sound design for BLUEPILL. So before I'd read the brief or had any sort of conversations with the director herself, Tebogo, the producer of the film, sent me a working cut, and my first reaction when I watched it, or rather the first emotion that I felt, was sadness. I really felt quite sorry for this young girl, Sasha.
The inspiration for BLUEPILL stemmed from the idea that sometimes it's not necessarily external factors and people that we should fear, but, more so ourselves, The themes that the film explore are, one, being self-introspection and being our worst enemy's self-sabotage.
So I think that Thubelihle, the director, did an incredible job at evoking a sense of loneliness throughout the film. For the most part, we see Sasha completely on her own, and from a shot perspective, from a cinematic perspective, she's often sort of boxed in, or I suppose trapped. The house itself feels very cold and dark, and really just void of any sort of joy whatsoever. And given the fact that there really isn't much dialogue, I think that it was clear from the beginning that music was going to have a massive role to play in telling this story. Look, this is a horror film, but I think these melancholic and somber sort of progressions, what it does is it helps put the audience in Sasha's corner. It helps us build a relationship with this character, build some empathy, because end of the day, why would you feel scared for someone that you had absolutely no empathy for? And hopefully what this does is make us 10 times more afraid when the big, impactful moments happen. So music obviously plays a big role in building tension and fear and all the rest of it, but so does silence. And I thought for a very long time about what this house should sound like from Sasha's perspective. The director's brief called for a surreal environment, so I knew that the classic crickets and wind wasn't going to cut it for this one. I briefly considered putting in the sound of old creaky trees. It's definitely quite an eerie sound, but I decided against that because it seemed to pull the viewer away from the house. And I really wanted to make sure that whilst watching this, we feel trapped in this house with her. If you are anywhere close to my age, you'll probably have a memory of your grandmother's fridge. That thing was enormous, perfectly rectangular. It was older than you, definitely. Might have even been older than your parents. But most importantly, that thing was noisy. And I remember as a child feeling quite claustrophobic by the sound of this incessant humming fridge. That thing just sort of followed me around the house, and there was no escaping it. And so I thought that's it. It's perfect. That is what this house should sound like. It ended up becoming quite a useful tool during the mix. I found that, just by subtly lifting the volume of the fridge, you could create a lot of tension without having to resort to a drone or another piece of music. Lastly, you might have heard the question, if a tree falls down in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? I think we can apply the same logic and the same rules to the fridge, because after all, we're seeing the story from Sasha's unique perspective. And so perhaps when she's asleep, the fridge is silent. Maybe the fridge is only tormenting her. Okay, I think I'm getting dangerously close to giving away too many spoilers. And the film hasn't been officially released yet, so I think I'll leave it there for now. But I've enjoyed making this video, and I'm gonna make some more once the film has been released into the world.